Hi everyone. In the previous module, we discussed about configuration of VLANs and how networks can be organized logically. Once we did that, the main objective for us is to reduce the broadcast traffic crossing the domain substantially. Also, hosts can communicate with other hosts belonging to the same VLAN. But what if a host in one VLAN needs to communicate with a host in a different VLAN? If you are a network administrator, you know that people will want to communicate with other people outside of your network. This is where inter-VLAN routing is going to help. Inter-VLAN routing uses a layer 3 device, might be a router or even a layer 3 switch, also called as a multi-layer switch. Let's see how we set up inter-VLAN routing. So the ones which we cover in this module are, we are going to come across the why do we need inter-VLAN routing operation? What do you mean by the router on a stick inter-VLAN configuration? And how do you do inter-VLAN routing using layer 3 switches? And finally, what are the different ways through which we can troubleshoot inter-VLAN routing? Okay, so let's start with the first one, inter-VLAN routing operation. Now, as we discussed in the introduction part, VLANs are used to segment the layer 2 networks for a variety of reasons. But one host or a host belonging to one VLAN will not be able to communicate with another host belonging to a different VLAN. Now, the inter-VLAN routing is a process of forwarding network traffic from one VLAN to another VLAN. This is where inter-VLAN routing is used. We have usually three ways of doing it. The first one is something called as legacy inter-VLAN routing. This is an old way of doing it, and it does not scale well, and it's no longer being used. The second way is something called as a router on a stick configuration. This is acceptable if you are actually setting up a small to a medium network, in the scale being not more than 50 VLANs in it. The third one is called as layer 3 switch or using a multi-layered switch. This is the most scalable solution for large networks, but also an expensive one. Let's see individually. And as I said, the first one is legacy inter-VLAN routing. Explaining it simply means if you want to set up different VLANs, you need to set it up using physical ports on the router. Obviously, for different networks, you require a layer 3 device like a router. And here, there are as many number of physical interfaces are there for the router, you can create that many number of LANs. In this example, if you see, I can create two VLANs if there are two physical ports or two physical Ethernet ports on the router. The problem with this technique is the number of ports, the number of physical ports on a router are very much limited. It does not scale well. If you want to add maybe 10 more or 20 more VLANs, this won't work. It will simply, if you start requiring one physical router interface for one VLAN, it quickly exhausts the number of interfaces present on the router. This is no longer implemented, and this is just for your explanation purpose only. Whereas the second solution is something called as a router on a stick inter-VLAN routing. Here, the concept behind this is, rather than using one physical interface for every VLAN, why don't I break the interface, or why don't I divide the interface logically into sub-interfaces? So, thinking about that, what it does is, the router Ethernet interface is actually configured as a 802.1q trunk, and it is connected to a trunk port on a layer 2 switch. And then we divide that interface into sub-interfaces. All these are all logical interfaces and are implemented in the software on the router. Each and every one of these sub-interfaces are now independently configured with an IP address and a VLAN assignment. These sub-interfaces are actually configured with different subnets. These subnets or these IP addresses correspond to the VLANs through which they belong to. This actually facilitates logical routing. So one interface can be subdivided into multiple sub-interfaces, or divided into multiple sub-interfaces, and each sub-interface can carry traffic from one VLAN. Now, when this VLAN target traffic enters into the interface, the router makes a decision of what is the interface through which it should go out. And if that interface is configured as an 802.1q sub-interface, these data frames are VLAN tagged with a new VLAN tag, and they are sent out. We will work on these things. I have some examples in this PPT, so you'll be able to understand it better. And then we will do some packet tracer activities also. So it gives you much more clearer understanding. As I said, this particular type of implementing inter VLAN routing is good only if you have less than 50 VLAN. The next option for us, and which is the most modern way of doing it, is to use a layer 3 switch. A layer 3. Now, yes, you heard it right. Layer 3 switch, because we keep learning that the switch is a layer 2 device, but we have a switch which can operate at layer 2 and layer 3. That is the reason we call it as a multi-layer switch or an MLS. It is actually shown by this particular icon here. And what happens is, this is a little bit more simpler. For how many VLANs you need to support on the switch, you simply create that many SVI interface. That's all. In this diagram, I have 2 VLANs. So I need to create 2 SVI, switch virtual interfaces, and assign the VLANs to these interfaces. Now, how do you create these SVI interfaces? The same way you have been creating from our module 1. You to enter the interface number, give the IP address assignment using the IP address and the subnet mask, and then type in no shutdown. We will do this. We will work on these things so that you will be able to understand and have a hands-on experience. Why I say it's a modern way and why it is the best way? Because it is much more faster than router on a stick configuration, because everywhere is based on hardware. Everything is routed through hardware. There is no need for external links. Latency is very less because the frames do not leave the switch at all. The only disadvantage here is that it's slightly expensive than the other options. But still, most of the enterprise LANs and corporate LANs do go for multi-layer switches. Now, let's talk and let's see how this inter VLAN routing is actually implemented through router on a stick configuration. Now, check this scenario out. Now, go through this particular scenario once. You will be able to find out that, if you see here, I have 2 switches, S1 and S2. S1 is connected to PC1, which belongs to VLAN 10. S2 is connected to PC2, which belongs to VLAN 20. Okay. Now, for this scenario to work, and I need 2 trunk links, the link between S1 and S2, and also the link between R1 and S1 for this topology to work. Okay. Now, here, if you see the interfaces clearly, the Z0 by 0 by 1 interface of R1 is connected to F0 by 0 by 5 interface of S1. Similarly, the F0 by 1 interface on S1 is connected to F0 by 1 interface on S2. Now we have to configure these 2 links as trunk links. We have to create the VLANs on S1 and S2 and assign the ports to these VLANs. I have to assign F0 by 6 port to VLAN 10 and F0 by 18 port to VLAN 20. And after I complete the configuration of all these things, then I shall work on R1 and I will show you how to configure these sub interfaces and assign the VLANs to these sub interfaces. Please remember these IP addresses for just namesake. This is how you show a sub interface: Z0 by 0 by 1 dot 10. This number corresponds to the VLAN. Whichever VLAN you are going to assign to this sub interface, this number. So dot 20 corresponds to VLAN 20, dot 99 corresponds to VLAN 99. Okay. So there are 3 VLANs that needs to be created, and the traffic should be accepted from these 3 VLANs. Now this is what we have. Now let us start step-by-step procedure. So first, let's take S1. So the thing is, there are 4 steps that are involved. Step 1 includes the create and naming of the VLANs. Step 2 includes creation of the management interface. Step 3 includes accessing or configuration of access ports to the VLANs. And finally, configuring the trunking ports. Step 1. If you see here, step 1, you name the VLANs. VLAN 10, name LAN 10. VLAN 20, name LAN 20. And VLAN 99, name is management. So I have named them. I actually created a VLAN, and that is step 1, and I have named the VLANs. Going to step 2, you have to create the management interface. That is the SVI interface. It belongs to VLAN 99. So I typed in interface VLAN 99, and this is the IP address that I have in my previous slide. So I have given the IP address belonging to this network 99. If you can see here, this is the IP address for this S1 SVI of S1, and then no shutdown. Now for me to route, I need to set up the IP default gateway. If you observe correctly, the IP default gateway for the traffic of VLAN 99 is the IP address of the router's Z0 by 0 by 1.99 interface. Just remember, IP default gateway 192.168.99.1, right? Now, if you check out the diagram, this is the IP address of the subinterface Z0 by 0 by 1.99. So for S1, the default gateway will be the IP address of the subinterface assigned for VLAN 99. Okay, now this is what I did. And after step 2, I go for step 3. In step 3, I need to assign this port F0 by 6 port here to accept traffic from VLAN. We all did this in module 3. So interface F0 by 6, switch port mode access, switch port access, VLAN 10, no shutdown. And finally, let's go to step 4 where we configure the trunking ports. S1, I need to configure 2 ports as trunk because I have the F0 by 5 port which connects R1 and F0 by 1 port which connects S2. So let me start with F0 by 1. I need to simply put in interface F0 by 1, switch port mode trunk, no shutdown. And then F0 by 5, switch port mode trunk, no shutdown. So this is how you set it up on S1. Now let's check out what, it's a similar thing on S2 also. S2, once again, you create these VLANs. This is the part where you create all the VLANs and name the VLANs. And these are the steps where you do the SVI configuration. There you go. I have written, this is the address of SVI for S2. I assigned that. The default gateway once again will be, because this is, I'm talking about VLAN 99, and the same address Z0 by 0 by 1.99's IP address will be given as the IP default gateway. And after that, I need to assign F0 by 18 to access mode and to accept traffic from VLAN 20. And after that, F0 by 1 port, I need to make it as a trunk port. So switch port mode trunk. So this is for S2. Now we created all the VLANs on S1 and S2, and we assigned the switch ports to access the traffic from the corresponding VLANs. And now let's see what to do on R1. Okay. Now, to create this R1 interface, sub-interface configuration, you need to understand that a sub-interface first should be created. It is always created using the same command, interface ID, then followed by the sub-interface ID in the global configuration mode. Now, usually, as I said, the sub-interface ID should correspond to the VLAN ID number. So it will be much more easier. It's not default, but it is customary to do that. Then we need to add 2 commands. We need to implement 2 commands. The first command is something called as encapsulation.1q followed by the VLAN number. And in case of if you are assigning the native VLAN, then you use the native keyword. Only the native keyword is used if you are assigning a different native VLAN other than VLAN 1. Usually VLAN 1 is the default native VLAN, and in some cases you will be asked to change the native VLAN number. In that cases only you assign the native keyword. Otherwise, you simply write down encapsulation.1q and the VLAN ID. After that, in the sub-interface, in the interface mode, the second command that you should be writing down is you assign the IP address. IP address, whatever IP address is assigned, along with the subnet mask. This is how you create a sub-interface. Make it make it accept traffic coming through .1q encapsulation. Assign the IP address to it. This process should be repeated for each and every sub-interface that you create. One sub-interface is created for every VLAN that you need to support. And finally, once you do all these things, you get that particular interface to up mode. That is no shutdown. Okay, I'll show you that. Don't worry. Now, the same scenario. We did all the configuration on S1 and S2. Now, if you see here, what we are going to do is, this is the interface that I'm going to divide. So interface Z0 by 0 by 1.10. This sub-interface ID corresponds to the VLAN that I am going to attach it to. So interface, then it is usually a good practice to give description. So description is, it is the default gateway for VLAN 10. Okay. And you need to write down encapsulation.1q10. This corresponds to the VLAN ID. This corresponds to the VLAN ID for which this sub-interface is being created. Now, what is this address? It is already given here. So you need to assign this address exit. Similarly, this is created for VLAN 10. Similarly, we have to create this for VLAN 20. So once again, I'm using the same sub-interface. So interface Z0 by 1.20. This corresponds to the subinterface being created for VLAN 20. Okay, so this is how you do it. Now description, you give the description part, and then after description, what we need to do is we need to give the encapsulation .1q20 now, because now it has to accept traffic from VLAN 20, assign the IP address. Similarly, for the third VLAN, which is 99 management VLAN, you do the same steps, repeat the same steps. As I said, these two steps must be repeated for each and every VLAN being configured, that is for every subinterface. And finally, what you need to do is you need to make sure that this interface, which we divided into subinterfaces, is on. Simply type in no shutdown. That's all. Because we made it into a trunk. So Z0 by 0 by 1, you just type in no shutdown. If you don't type this, if it is in the power off state or in the down state, it won't work. So this is how you create subinterfaces on R1. Okay. Now, once you do this, you need to verify whether you did it in the right way or not by verifying the connectivity. The best way to do it is ping all devices, check it out. And also, before, if ping fails, always use this ipconfig command also to verify whether the IP address configuration is done without any errors or not. Usually people make mistakes when assigning the IP addresses to the subinterfaces. So please check it out. This is how you perform the inter-VLAN routing through router on a stick configuration. There is a packet tracer activity on this also. There is actually a couple of activities which I'll make videos. You can check it out. But once you start doing it on your own, you'll have a better understanding. Now, this is how you actually do the verification. You make use of the show commands. You can use show IP route, show IP interface brief, show interfaces, and show interfaces trunk. I've given you some sample outputs from these show commands. There I can actually check it out. If you see, I can if you say show IP interface brief and include up which interfaces are up, it will show you the sub interfaces and the IP addresses assigned. And if you want to check whether whether you have assigned all the trunk ports in the right way or not, you just type in show interfaces trunk. Then it will show you what are all the trunking interfaces and what is the native VLAN setup and all the other things, all the other information. So this way you can troubleshoot. You can verify whether everything is configured in the right way or not. Whether are there any mistakes made? Okay. So let's talk about the other way, or the next alternative for implementing inter-VLAN routing by using a layer 3 switch. Okay. As I told you, the router on a stick configuration is okay for a small and medium business companies which might not have a lot of networks, maybe less than 50 VLANs. But for a large enterprise, it requires a fast and much more scalable option to provide this inter-VLAN routing. And this option is actually provided by a layer 3 switch. A layer 3 switch uses hardware-based switching to achieve higher packet processing rates than routers. That is the reason I say it is very fast, even when you compare it with a router on a stick configuration. They are commonly implemented in enterprise distribution layer wiring closets. Now, what are the capabilities of a layer 3 switch? It routes from one VLAN to another using multiple SVIs. So as I said, we will create one SVI for every VLAN that it supports, and it can actually route between these VLANs using these SVIs only. It can convert a layer 2 switch port to a layer 3 interface. We call it as a routed port. Now, a routed port on a layer 3 switch is very much equal to that of a interface, physical interface on a router. I'll show you the commands how to do that. No problem. No, don't worry. So please remember that a routed port on a layer 3 switch is very much similar to that of a physical interface on a router. As I said, to provide this inter-VLAN routing, we actually use SVIs, and the SVIs are created basically the same way that we have been creating it from many examples. You simply enter the VLAN command, interface VLAN, and give the ID, and then you assign the IP address on the subnet mask. As I said, one SVI must be created for each one of the routable VLANs. So if you have 3 VLANs, you have to create 3 SVIs. Let me show you an example. Now in this scenario, I have the multi-layer switch called as D1, and it is now connected to 2 PCs. Both the PCs are in 2 different VLANs. PC1 is in VLAN 10 and PC2 is in VLAN 20. Now the steps required to get this inter-VLAN routing, I'll show you. Now, these are the steps that need to be done. First step is you need to create the VLANs. You need to simply, it is the same command, VLAN 10 name, VLAN 20 name. Okay. And step 2 is you need to create the SVI's VLAN interfaces. For each one of the VLANs that the switch needs to support, one SVI should be created, and the IP address assigned to this SVI, to each one of these SVIs, will serve as a default gateway for hosts belonging to the VLAN. Now, if you take it here, if I create one SVI for this VLAN 10, that IP address assigned to the SVI will be the default gateway for PC1 or any other devices that are connected to VLAN 10. And then you have to assign the ports. You have to assign this port to VLAN 10 and you have to assign this port to VLAN 20. Okay. And after that, you need to enable IP routing. It is done by issuing the command IP routing. That's all. To allow the traffic to be exchanged between VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. Now, this was the requirement for this is you need to enable this command, or you need to type in this command to enable the inter-VLAN routing on a layer 3 switch, because this is a switch. Okay, but if you want it to do routing, you need to type in enable IP routing, or simply type in IP routing. That's all. Okay. Now let me show you each one of these things in an example. What is step 1? Creation of VLAN. The same commands that you have been using. VLAN ID name. That's all. Next one is create the SVI VLAN interfaces. If you see here, interface VLAN 10. You write the description part, default gateway for SVI for VLAN 10. Then you assign the IP address of that VLAN. No shutdown. Because I'm talking about only 2 VLANs here, I'm actually giving only 2 SVI interfaces. So interface VLAN 20, give the IP address, write the description down, no shutdown. Step 2 is done. Step 3, you configure the access ports. I told you there are 2 ports that are connected, right? So G1 by 0 by 6. You need to make it into access mode. The same commands that we used in your module 3. Switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 10. Okay, these are the 2 commands that we use. Similarly, for the second interface to VLAN 20, you have to assign this interface to accept traffic from VLAN 20. You can write a description. So description is access port to PC2, switch port mode access, switch port access VLAN 20. And finally, in order to enable IP routing, you just type in IP routing. That's all. This is for IPv4. Okay. Now, once you do this, once again, you can check the connectivity by pinging one device from another. If everything is okay, the ping should work. Now, here you need to understand something. If VLANs are to be reachable by other layer 3 devices, that means the networks should be, if you want to connect one network to another network through another device, they must be advertised using static or dynamic routing. We did not cover routing algorithms as of now. Most of them are covered. Some of them are covered towards the end of this CCNA 2, where some of the remaining ones are covered in your CCNA 3 module. Okay. So to enable routing on a layer 3 switch, a routed port must be created or it must be configured. For this, usually switch has switch ports. Now to convert a switch port into a routed port, you simply need to write down no switch port command. That's all. You simply need to type in no switch port. If you type in this command no switch port, it will automatically convert that particular port into a layer 3's routed port, which will help you to transmit the network information to another layer 3 device. I'll show you with an example. Okay. Then the interface can be configured with an IPv4 configuration to connect to a router or any other layer 3 switch. Now check this out. This is a scenario. Now this actually we are using an OSPF algorithm. Here we initially did this inter-VLAN routing by setting up the VLANs and by setting up the SVIs on this multi-layer switch. But what if the switch wants to talk to the outer network if it is connected to another layer 3 device such as a router? Okay. Now imagine that all of these devices are in the OSPF domain. Now the G0 by 1, this interface of the router has been configured and also enabled. And router R1 is using OSPF protocol to advertise its 2 networks. These are the 2 networks it is connected to. So it is advertising these networks. Now, in order for D1 to do the same, in order for D1 to talk to R1 about the networks and the paths, we need to do these following steps. Now, this is okay, but what if the layer 3 switch wants to talk to another for routing? The first one is you need to configure the routed port. So this port should be configured as a routed port. That is step 1. And after that, enable routing. You simply need to type in IP routing. That's all. And after that, you need to configure the routing. Configure routing is actually done through OSPF commands, which, as I said, we'll cover it later. This is done through OSPF commands. After you do that, you need to check whether routing is done properly or not. But for this, we can actually implement show IP route command, which will give you a list of all the links that are actually added or the network routes. And finally, you need to check verify the connectivity by implementing ping command. Now let me show you how it is done. Step 1, you need to configure that particular port into a routed port. For that reason, what we need to do is you go into that interface 1 by 0 by 1. You type in node switch port and then assign the IP address to that port. You need to assign the IP address to the port. If you see here, it is there already. You can see it is the IP address 10.10.2 stands for .2. And for the IP address for this port, you can always read it as 10.10.10.1. This is the network address. This is the individual link address. Okay. So for this port, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in here no switch port. Then I'm going to assign the IP address for that particular port and then no shutdown. Step 1. In step 2, as I said, pretty simple. Just enable IP routing by typing in IP routing. In step 3, configure the routing where we use these are the commands for which OSPF is implemented. Okay, the OSPF protocol is not yet covered for you, but just go through this. That's all. And step 4, you need to verify the routing. We can actually always use the show IP route command where you can actually verify whether the connected routes are there or not, to which interface it is connected. And last, step 5, verify connectivity by using the ping command to check whether you can reach other destinations or not. The last topic is troubleshooting. Troubleshooting in most cases for VLANs, the important thing to observe is human errors. Most of the times you might give a wrong VLAN ID, or you might type in wrong IP addresses. All these things will come. There are the primary issues are missing VLANs, switch trunk port issues, switch access port issues, and finally the router configuration issues. Now, when you start doing your packet tracer activities, you will definitely make some mistakes because it might be the first time you're working with these things. Once you make these mistakes, it's good because you will learn to understand to troubleshoot also. If you don't get it right, I will find out where you did the mistake by using the show commands. I have shown you yesterday through some videos, show VLAN brief, show interfaces switch port command, show interface trunk command. All these commands can be used, all the show commands can be used to verify the status of individual ports and also the IP address assignment done to these ports. So you can type in show IP interface brief. Now, if you see here, this is a common scenario which you have been working with. Now, missing VLANs, you can just type in show interface ID switch port command. You can check it out whether the VLANs are created or not, whether they are assigned to the ports or not. Usually, it's a human mistake typing in a wrong VLAN ID number, or completely forgetting about creating a VLAN or not, or sometimes accidentally deleting a VLAN. So these things have to be taken care of under this issue. The second issue is switch trunk port issue. Sometimes you might configure a wrong switch port as a trunk, or you must have completely forgotten to create a trunk port for the switch. So for that one, the show command show interface trunk will actually give you a very good idea of which ports are currently in the trunking mode. All the ports that you set it up as trunk ports will be shown here. You can clearly see it. Though you can troubleshoot it also in this way. Next one is access port issues. Now, once you assign a port to switch port mode access, and if you do not properly assign the particular port to which the devices on the VLAN are connected, you will get an issue once again. Now, if you are unable to ping the default gateway, please make sure you can type in this show interface that particular port switch port. You can see that it is in which mode it is on. It is in access mode or not, the encapsulation set or not. Sometimes the VLAN access mode VLAN 1 is set as default. When native VLAN tagging, all these things can be shown here. You can actually do your troubleshooting by checking these commands. And router configuration issues, usually when you're working with sub interfaces, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 sub interfaces, commonly people tend to give wrong IP addresses or IP addresses with some typing mistakes on it. But if you make a mistake, it won't happen. The configuration will not be completely done. So in that case, the best thing to do is you type in show interfaces. But if you type in show interfaces, it gives you a long list of output, a huge amount of output. In order to filter it, you can actually use this way, which is a very good way of doing it. Show interfaces, pipe, include gig or 802.1q. So all the gigabit Ethernets and 802.1q, all these things are shown here. If you see, it is administratively down, line protocol is down, and 00 by 1, it is up. The VLAN ID is given. So here you can actually see whether the right sub interface is actually assigned to the individual VLANs or not. And some of the times the IP address configuration done to these sub interfaces might also be a mistake. So this troubleshooting, it'll be easy once you start doing it, rather than just learning the commands. If you start using these commands to verify the outputs to see if everything is done properly or not, then you can get a better idea. So we have come to the end of this particular module. You see here, as I told you, inter VLAN routing is the process of forwarding network traffic from one VLAN to another VLAN. There are three common ways of implementing the inter VLAN routing. The first one is a legacy one, which is no longer being used, which is not scalable at all. The second option is router on a stick configuration, which is okay to use for small to medium business companies. And whereas the third one, which is the best and a highly scalable option, is your usage of a layer 3 switch, but it is an slightly expensive one. Once you set up these things, it is very important to verify whether the configurations are done properly or not. Are there any mistakes made? And the troubleshooting also plays a crucial role in VLANs. For troubleshooting, you need to have a good understanding on show commands. What are the different show commands? How to interpret the show commands output? How do you filter the show command output accordingly? So all these things are covered in this module. Do check out the packet tracer videos for this particular module also, because it's very important for us to understand how inter VLAN routing works. We will be creating scenarios and working on that. So thank you very much, and hopefully you understood this, and thank you guys. Have good luck, all of you.